Hi Stampers, I'm Meg from Loven Stamps and you are watching Maker Mornings with Meg. Today's video we are going to backtrack a little bit to some of the basics. And one of the things that I truly love about stamping is that you can really make the most of the ink colors that you have with some really simple techniques. Sometimes it takes just the perfect stamp set to show off some of these little techniques and ways that you can really stretch the supplies that you already own. And so one of those stamp sets is called Treasured Kindness. Here it is. And it is a very simple, just a laid back thinking of you kind of card, or thinking of you kind of stamp set. It would be great for support or sympathy cards, or sort of just to let someone know that you're thinking of them, that they're important to you. It's always a great reason to send a card, right? So we're gonna use this Treasured Kindness stamp set. We're gonna pair it with some basics that you'll want to know about. And I'm gonna show you a technique for stretching your ink pads. So with that, good morning to everyone. Happy Tuesday. Sue and all the people are popped on, and I'm going to turn our camera down and we're going to get started. So this is a great chance. Oops, sorry. Okay. My son used my camera to record some auditions, and so it's all, there we go. There we go. Okay, 'tis the season, right? It is marching band season at our house. We are thoroughly in the middle of all of marching kinds of things, and so we're enjoying that part of our season. So all right, so getting things set on here. Like I said, the stamp set that we are going to use is called Treasured Kindness, and it has some really great words in it, some really nice sentiments that can be featured on a lot of different cards. And so to kind of go with the theme of this stamp set, which I find is just very quiet, we are going to go with some quiet colors. And so I have picked out Pear Pizzazz, which is a really great green, So Saffron, which has my stamps sitting on it, and then we're going to pair Crumb Cake and Early Espresso for some two-step stamping. Now you'll notice on the stamp set that there are some stamps here where there is sort of more than one image that's going to make up our, or more than one stamp that's going to make up our final image. And that is a feature of two-step stamp sets that Stampin' Up does a great job with. And so you'll see these pretty commonly on different kinds of things, and that basically you're using two different stamps to create a final look, which is a really powerful thing. So, all right, so like I said, we've got our Pear Pizzazz here. We're gonna go ahead and fold this in half to get started. And let's see, I think we're a little close here. This is what happens when the weekends come and this is like when someone drives your car and like gets the seats in the wrong place and stuff. You have to readjust everything to get going again. Anyway, so we have our Pear Pizzazz, and we're gonna go ahead and layer right on here with another layer of Pear Pizzazz. And one of the reasons I like to do this, I'll do it a lot of times with a white cardstock, doing white on white, just like this happy birthday card here that I showed you recently. It's a real subtle way to add some extra texture and a little extra elegance without, really overwhelming the look of your project. So we're going to add some texture here with a Time Worn Type embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder, so I'm just going to give you a quick little reminder on how you're going to use this. So I'm going to put my cardstock in here. Always, when you're using embossing folders, be very careful to make sure your cardstock does not go up into the hinge of the folder. When we pop cardstock all the way up into the hinge like this, we're really stressing this connection, and that can be really hard on a folder and cause it to crack. So we don't want to do that. Now, also with this 3D folder, you're going to want to look at your sandwich. And right here on the Stamp Cut and Emboss machine pad, this is the thick pad that is included with your machine, it's going to tell you right here, this one, is the directions for using 3D embossing folders. So with 3D embossing folders, you're going to use number 4, which is the specialty plate, right here. And then you're going to just put your cardstock in your folder and put it right on here. So you'll notice there are no cutting plates, there's no thin die adapter. All we're doing is just this. So never worry that you're not going to be sure what to use with your embossing folders or how to stack your plates for embossing and die cutting. Just always remember that the directions are right there on the pad, so easy to find and easy to follow. So, all right, so grabbing our folder here, let me get this back out of the way. We can pull our cardstock out and we have a really nice texture. Let's see, I think you can probably see that pretty well. Here's the print of it if you can't quite get it. Morning. Hey, Carol. Hey, Shirley. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this and just like I did on this birthday card recently, I added some Stampin' Dimensionals in here, which gives you a shadow layer, which can really add some extra elegance to this. So I'm gonna flip this over and go ahead and use here some extra pieces from the edges of my Stampin' Dimensionals. And those make great edges to put on cards. I'm just gonna trim here in the margin, and remember not to throw away these edges of your Stampin' Dimensionals. Often I go through like a period where I use a ton and then I won't use any, and so I end up with a drawer full of them at different times, and I end up with not enough of them at other times. I don't know, does anybody else have that problem? Feast or famine, right? All right, so popping these on here, barely fit that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop these up. You can see my my marker M. We had a marching band competition on Saturday night this week, and the kids from my son's high school got a first place in their class, and they were grand champions of the competition. So we were really proud of them. So, all right, and that's why you get to see Sharpie on my hands. Anyway, so we have our card base here, and now we're gonna go ahead and bring in our stamp set. So for this set, we have our colors here, and we're gonna go ahead and use the two-step stamping. Now, I'm gonna put a real simple piece of cardstock right across here, just a basic white, which of course I could use just as it is and go ahead and cut a rectangle. But I also could use my stitched rectangle dies here to go ahead and cut a rectangle here for to just give our piece some extra elements. And the stitched rectangle dies have, let me see, how many are in here? A whole lot. Quantity, 13 different dies. So there are 13 different sizes and a couple different formats of the rectangles. And I've showed you how to do custom shapes from these rectangles in the past too. So let me know if you need tips for that. But there are a lot of great flexibility for adding different kinds of detail to your project, and sort of picture the difference there between the stitch version and the non-stitch version. Just that extra stitch line really adds a lot to our project. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the stitched line, thanks to our stitch rectangles. And if you're thinking like, oh, there's a whole bunch of things that I really need right now, today, October 4th, is free shipping day. Stampin' Up has resurrected for just 24 hours, so you can shop through tonight at like 11:59 Mountain Time, I think. But a great chance to like pick up and stock up on some of those things like stitched rectangle dies that are, you know, just great staples to have on hand, or like a unique stamp set that you thought, well, I didn't really need that until I saw that project that Meg showed with it. So we're going to bring in our piece here, and I'm going to start off with the tree trunk. And when you have a two-step stamp set, so I have this one here and the other image here, I always pick up my images by pressing my block down on them rather than applying them. When you apply stamps like this, you can end up like, this is an exaggeration, but imagine if I got the tree bent like this and then stamped it, it wouldn't line up with the other stamp. So the easiest way to make sure you're getting the natural shape of the stamp is just to let the stamp sit on the table and then press your block down to pick it up. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to start with a darker color. Usually the detailed stamp is the darker color one. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this on here. We're going to leave some space for our, did I get the right size? I did. Okay, we're gonna leave some space for our tree at the top and our pot at the bottom, okay? So I've got my darker one on here, and now I'm gonna take my crumb cake. So on this one, I'm using 2 different colors of brown, but on the rest of our stamping, we're gonna use the same green to get all of the layers here of our tree. Now, when you're 2-step stamping, one of the great things about the photopolymer stamp sets is that you can see right through them. So you can see, oh, Carol says it's the first time she's seen the stamp set. I know, it's one that's easy to overlook in the catalog. So when you're 2-step stamping, you want to get as close as possible without touching. And then usually what I do is I kind of pick a point where I think the stamp is pretty lined up, and then I'll rotate along that, like sort of with that as like a set point, and figure out where I get the best coordination. Now, most of the stamps, then press down the rest of the way, most of the stamps that are 2-step stamps are really very forgiving. You don't need to panic if you don't get them exactly lined up. They're designed to just have a little bit of sort of slush area, so you don't have to worry too much about getting those off. Now, I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz, and there are 2 images here to add our trees. And so what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of scrap cardstock here, because I want to use my Pear Pizzazz ink, but I want it to be lighter. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp off. And then the second stamping, like this, is the one that I'm going to use on our project. So you see how I have 2 very different colors of green, well, same color, different shades or tints of the green from that stamping off technique. So again, you're just gonna ink your stamp, you're gonna stamp on a piece of scrap paper, and then you're going to stamp on your project. And like I said, this one's pretty forgiving. You want your leaves to line up just like kind of under or over the tree there. But if you're a little bit off, it's not gonna matter. And then this stamp, here I'll show you a practice run first. And often when I'm stamping with a set for the first time, I always practice on scrap paper and see you know, what works, you know, try some things to line up and so forth. So I've inked this one with the same ink pad, but I'm going to use it full strength instead of stamping off, and then line that up and stamp. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. So I'll bring it here to my project and go ahead and add that. So again, I'm going to pick a point where it looks pretty well lined up and then rotate a little bit to find the right place and then stamp it. And there you go. All right. Now, for the background of this, we have a really terrific image here with the sun, and we have this planter down here below. And so I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp here in So Saffron and go ahead and stamp this here. Now, usually when I'm like deciding what I'm gonna make, I'll often stamp once and twice just to decide which one do I want on here. Do I want the darker? Or do I want the lighter? And I think I'm gonna go with the lighter. So I'm gonna stamp off again. So again, same technique, which really means that this is like a whole other yellow stamp pad than when I use it full strength, okay? And then this is a really simple image that I like. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab it and use it here on the bottom corner of my envelope, okay? So now I have something for the outside of my envelope that's gonna go ahead and match our card. All right. So now, bringing this back here to our card. Oh, I realized I didn't put the little bonsai pot underneath it, so I'm going to grab that. And again, you could, you know, practice and decide if you want this to be darker or lighter, depending on the strength of your ink there. But I'm going to go ahead and just use it full strength. And then I'm going to have to run to my cardstock closet and grab some cardstock here, because I want to add a greeting, but I want it to stand out. And so I'm going to just add this here as a strip across the bottom. So like I said, this stamp set has some terrific greetings in it. Thinking of you, always here for you. Thank you. You're wonderful. Your kindness is treasured in my heart. Good friends are forever. All kinds of nice sentiments. So I'm going to go ahead with the on the front, I'm going to go ahead and put the thinking of you sentiment. So I'll use my early espresso here. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the inside of our card here, which we're gonna come back and finish. Because remember, you always want to stamp the inside of your card. And we're going to go ahead and use the Always Here For You on the inside. So actually, let's do that. We're going to bring our sun back. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this here. And instead of putting our greeting right here in the center the way we sometimes do, I'm going to put it down here at the bottom, which gives you lots of space to write and not have your greeting, interrupt your message that you're trying to write in your card. So, all right, so this is going to go inside our card here. I always try and keep my ink pads away when I've got my cards open. Somehow I have this habit of opening cards and having them drop their surfaces into ink pads, which is always sad. So, all right, so we've got this. We're going to bring in some of these Stampin' Dimensionals here. And so you can kind of see that this is a real, it's a real pretty stamp set. Lots of nice ways to use it, especially if you don't have, multiple greens or multiple yellows of your inks. A nice two-step way to stamping off technique for kind of making the most of what you do have. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this. I want it to overlap the sides, but not too much. I want the greeting to be in the center, so I'm gonna trim both of those. I didn't get it quite in the center, so now it's gonna be shorter. There we go. All right, and then I'm gonna pop a Stampin' Dimensional here on the back of this to add. You could, of course, put this flat if you were concerned about your card getting a little too puppy-uppy there, dimensional. But that makes a really simple and pretty card to make for kind of any occasion. Everybody likes to know that people are there for them, right? Good to have friends to look out for. All right, so today, like I said, is October 4th. If you are happening to see this video today, know that you can shop in my online store with free shipping. If your order is $75 or more, make sure you check out the Loven Stamps perk points when you're ordering with me. I appreciate your orders, and that gives you sort of an extra set of bonuses. You can collect your Loven Stamps we're like drifting here. You can collect your Loven Stamps perks points and redeem them for a $50 shopping spree when you got those. So yay, Faith says happy free shipping day. But think about the Treasured Kindness stamp set as a good possibility to add to your stamping collection. Think about, stocking up on different things that you might need. So new ink pads. There we go. And oh my gosh. Okay, I think we're making it better or worse instead of better. Anyway, think about new ink pads, extra clear blocks, all those kind of staples that are a great thing to take advantage of getting when you have an extra little bit of savings like that. So, all right, guys, I hope you had a great weekend and that you are looking forward to a great week. I'm glad you enjoyed the card, and I will look forward to seeing you on Thursday for another Maker Mornings with Meg video. So, happy stamping, everybody.